Welcome, good morning. I thank you all for coming and joining us this morning at the Office of Homeland Security Investigations, Atlanta, where we oversee Homeland Security operations across the states of Georgia and Alabama. My name is Stephen Schrank. I'm the Special Agent in charge of Homeland Security Investigations, Atlanta, and I am joined this morning by our federal law enforcement colleagues and the leaders of federal law enforcement agencies responsible for the state of Georgia, who collectively as a team have all been working together since late January to enforce immigration law and the rule of order across the states of Georgia. So why don't we begin with some introductions, and we'll start to my right.
Sean Burke, Assistant Special Agent in charge in the FBI Atlanta Field Office.
Benjamin Gibbons, Special Agent in charge of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Farms, and Explosives based here.
Good morning, I'm Kristen Sullivan. I'm a Deputy Field Office Director for ERO, Enforcement and Removal Operations in Atlanta.
Good morning, my name is Jay Chung. I'm the Acting Special in charge of the Drug Enforcement Administration here in Atlanta.
As you have heard through media releases and information, the federal government has been focusing a great deal of resources on enforcing immigration law and focusing those efforts on addressing public safety interests and enforcing immigration law where it applies to individuals that are a public safety danger or have conducted criminal violations and actions throughout the United States. These agencies have come together and since January 22nd affected over 1,500 arrests in the state of Georgia of illegal aliens unlawfully present in the U.S., many of whom have also conducted criminal activity. During the past 2 weeks, we have initiated and run Operation Safeguard, where we have joined the efforts of these agencies in order to surge resources together and address public safety. We have been conducting immigration enforcement as well as criminal law enforcement to address individuals responsible for violent crimes, gang operations, narcotics operations, financial crimes, and public safety issues throughout the state. These significant operations are aimed at increasing public safety. And while no one should be present unlawfully in the United States, we are initially focusing efforts on those that impact our communities in a negative way. Many of these cases correlate to investigations that are new. Many of these are narcotics investigations already conducted by DEA, interagency operations, gang investigations, national security investigations, and investigations within the FBI portfolio. We have ICE enforcement and removal operations that is focusing on individuals with existing federal orders of deportation, criminals that have been brought into state agencies charged with state violations or otherwise are fugitives in the United States against immigration law. And those that are illegally present in the United States possessing firearms or illegally utilizing firearms throughout their course of business. In the past 2 weeks alone, we've seized over 13 firearms that were in possession of illegal aliens, which is in and of itself a federal violation. And as the Department of Justice announced this morning, many of those have been criminally charged for their violations. We come together as a team. This has been an interagency operation. Day in and day out, the men and women of these agencies have been working tirelessly to enforce the law and doing it jointly. Every team, much like the raid jackets you see here on the side of the room, is interagency, and all have been applying their authorities working together to make the community safer. So I offer that as an introduction, welcome you to be here, and would love to open up your questions to this panel of law enforcement leaders today. Do you have anything you'd like to say So we are happy to take your questions. Hi.
My name's Alondra McDowell with Engineers. With the current situation at the interdiction center, is it sufficient capacity to accommodate long individuals working there?
Yeah, we have, we're constantly addressing our bed space at our facilities, but we have the capacity that we need, and we're currently, constantly addressing it.
So can you tell me again, how did you identify these 5 people that you arrested? How did you know that they were living in the country?
5 people? 1,500 people?
Over the last 2 weeks? Well, you're speaking
Okay,
about two
sure.
different things.
Yeah, we're talking about 2 different things. So since we've really come together and focused on this operation in Georgia, there's been over 1,500 immigration-related arrests. Over the past 2 weeks, we have surged resources in order to focus operations on illegal aliens that are tangential to our criminal investigations. All of these agencies have criminal investigations going in and day out. And we identify individuals through those cases that are also unlawfully present, and some may also be conducting criminal activity, but others may be tangential to the case. And as we identify individuals, we are also searching their immigration status. Also, when we're conducting law enforcement operations, we run across other individuals that may be unlawfully present in the United States, some of which have existing orders of deportation, have prior removals, have criminal convictions, or have unlawfully entered and illegally crossed the border when we come across them. And we take them into custody and process them for immigration violations.
Stacey, I want to speak about the labor trafficking operation in Washington County, what led to that.
Sure, certainly. So Homeland Security investigations, along with our partners, including the Bartow County Sheriff's Office, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, last week conducted a massive labor trafficking investigation up at a flooring manufacturer, Well-Made, in Bartow County. And HSI received allegations last year that there were trafficking activity involving force, fraud, and or coercion related to employees at that location. Subsequent investigation determined that there was a significant number of foreign nationals working there, and through our investigation we developed sufficient probable cause, criminal search warrants for 8 locations, including the primary warehouse and 7 residences where individuals were being housed and shuttled to and from. This is an ongoing investigation, so I can't get into all of the details, but I can say that significant efforts were taken place in order to get the victims of this trafficking out of the horrific situation that they were working, provide services to them, and continue the investigation. While 2 individuals that were leading that operation were arrested on state charges, the investigation continues.
And how many victims are we talking about? Dozens?
Over the course of this operation, over the course of the operation last week, we encountered over 60 victims on site. We have subsequently had additional victims come forward. And I do ask that if there is additional information out there, or there are additional victims of trafficking that wish to come forward, they can provide information to us at an email address that is being provided on the press release, which is hsi-tips@hsi.dhs.gov.
With the Carterville case, is there any way you can give us estimate how many people were deported? From what we know, MPs was given information that a lot of people were taken to detention centers.
There were not what I would classify as a lot of people taken to detention centers. The Department of Homeland Security has protocol and has authority in order to enable victims and or witnesses of crime to remain in the United States during the course of an investigation. Individuals encountered at the business were questioned about their status, and also about their status as a victim and the trauma that they may have encountered while working there, and are working through processing all of the necessary adjudications for those people. There were no mass deportations. No one that was encountered at that site has been yet removed from the United States, but largely we were focused on foreign nationals that were being victimized by U.S. laborer.
I have a question. I covered some operation from federal agents in the streets during the morning. I can see some of them they cover their faces and they use regular cars, no market cars like a patrols. One of the main concerns for my community is to know what they can realize is a real officer or imposter. You know, some cases in the United States we report about people who pose as a nice agent. What is the tip you can send to a community about this?
Sure, we have all heard stories that are quite unfortunate about individuals impersonating law enforcement, and we take those very seriously. When conducting operations, we do collaborate and provide notice to state and local partners that we are out operating in that area, but recognizing that state and local officials, absent the 287G program, do not have federal immigration authority to be doing that. The federal agents that you see operating in the street that are represented by these agencies today are the ones that are taking individuals into custody. Each of them do have badges, each of them do have identification. We have had problems where there are threats made against our persons, our agents, that are trying to enforce the law of the United States. And for that reason, also for health and safety reasons, there are times that agents do wear face masks or face coverings in order to keep themselves out of the public discourse or protect themselves from the possibility of airborne transmitted viruses. But nonetheless, they are able to readily identify themselves. They do identify themselves to the public and do not operate in darkness or secret.
So sorry, just to clarify, some of the stories that you mentioned that are going around about unidentified agents may have been some stories in this situation, like with these.
I can't speak to specific stories, but I can say that there are times that federal agents do wear face coverings when conducting operations, but they are also otherwise marked. All of our, as you see with our raid jackets and our vests, they do specifically who they are when conducting them. And we take seriously any allegations of impersonation and investigate those alongside our state and federal partners, and will aggressively pursue anyone that attempts to impersonate a federal agent.
We have some report about when the officer broke doors and windows from cars for taking the people out. This kind of operation, they have a warrant, legal warrant from the judge for doing things like that?
I can't speak specifically to a situation without knowing the exact factors. Nonetheless, there are times that we operate with warrants, and there are times where we conduct enforcement actions that warrants are not required. For civil immigration enforcement, criminal warrants are not required in order to identify individuals and necessarily take them into custody, but each case is unique based on its facts and merits and addressed in a professional manner.
I see that photos 1 and photo 7 that here depicts arrests made as a result of Worksite enforcement operations. Can you talk about those and
Sure.
what those were?
Yeah, worksite enforcement operations are part of the Department of Homeland Security's strategy in order to identify places of business where illegal aliens are unlawfully employed and working throughout our communities. They are also a significant concern against the employers that may be knowingly employing illegal workers. Homeland Security Investigations conducts multiple operations daily looking at employers conducting I-9 inspections. The Form I-9 is required by all employers when onboarding new employees in order to verify citizenship and or lawful employment status, and employers can and will be held accountable if they knowingly employ and or harbor illegal aliens in their workplaces. We are going out on a daily basis and are encountering folks at workplaces and determining their alienage and lawful status in the United States.
What are the kind of workplaces, at least these two, for instance, what are we talking about in terms of, worksite?
It can be all different types of workplaces. It can be working at a supermarket. It can be working at a construction facility. It can be working at a major factory. We base this on information received from leads from the public. There are tips that can be provided through our tip line or through ice.gov, and we receive thousands of these leads on a daily basis, and we action them if there is information that folks are unlawfully employed at those businesses.
Good, my understanding was the Biden administration, these kind of worksite enforcement operations were controlled, is that right? And now it's come back?
There has been a significant increase in worksite enforcement activity since the new administration has established new priorities and guidelines for all immigration-related work.
With the worksite operations, yesterday in Gwinnett County, engineers covered a report or a construction site where someone was taken. The prior information was given where we didn't have any criminal background. So there is targets to people and working with the community.
We are not specifically targeting individuals that do not have a criminal background necessarily. However, they may be subject to an existing final order of removal from an immigration judge, in which case we will be seeking those individuals. However, when conducting worksite enforcement operations or routine operations, if we encounter other individuals that are unlawfully present and they need to be taken into custody, they are.
What's your message to, people that are here illegally, that are criminals, operating in the state of Georgia?
If they are criminals, we are coming to get them. And if they are not and they are illegally present in the United States, they need to think well and hard about what their plan is for the future. This administration has made immigration enforcement a significant priority, and we will continue to enforce the law on the books in order to arrest and deport individuals that are present in the United States.
Conference last week from the police department in Gwinnett County, and they told me they are seeing some problem in the community. Hispanic people don't want to report crimes. They don't want to talk with the police when they are witness on a crime. It's because they believe some in contact with the local police can be the first step to be in immigration hands. Something you want to say in the community about that?
I implore all individuals in the United States that if they witness crime, come forward to law enforcement. They do not need to be afraid of working with the local police. The local police, you mentioned Gwinnett, does not have immigration authority. It is federal agents that are bestowed with Title VIII immigration authority in order to remove individuals. And we want our communities to be safe. We want individuals to come forward, feel comfortable speaking to their local law enforcement and report crimes that would affect them or their communities, regardless of the outcome.
What about the victims of traffic victims? Is there any kind of amnesty or anything that the government is working with these people to come forward so they feel like they can come forward?
There is not an amnesty, but the Department of Homeland Security has continued presence authority. It also has the ability through the Department of State and Department of Justice in order to provide victims of trafficking visas to the United States in order to say we have different types of visas. T visa is a trafficking visa that's been authorized by the U.S. Congress for victims of trafficking, and U visas that could be utilized for victims of crime. Also, continued presence authority for individuals that are victims that need to continue to be present in the United States in order to be present for an investigation or be a witness in a case. So there are avenues that can be pursued in order to ensure that those individuals are not re-victimized by the United States government and are treated appropriately and accordingly.
Of the 1,500 people that have been arrested in Georgia since January, approximately how many of those have been deported?
I don't have that exact number for you. We can see what we can get, but I don't have that for you right now. Kristen, do you have? Yeah.
You don't have an estimate,
I would be reluctant to provide an estimate without having facts available.
but
to me.
there have been deportations from Gwinnett.
Yes.
Photo 9 shows Atlanta individual arrested from a gang-related member. How do you, is there any artificial intelligence or some sort of system that law enforcement are using to identify these people related to gangs?
We do not have an artificial intelligence system in order to identify gang members, but we work with our state and local partners day in and day out, and there are multiple operations in order to address gang members where we identify them utilizing different criteria: known associates, posts, admissions, tattoos, collective information about an individual's background and history, notations, prior incarceration information is all used to determine if someone is classified as a gang member.
Can you talk about any details, additional details of the child exploitation search report? Was that also about child labor or other kinds of exploitation?
When we use the term child exploitation, it is typically involved in child sexual abuse material and individuals that are in possession or distribution of child pornography or exploitive material.
And the Venezuelan Nicaragua gang member, I guess, I know that a lot of such people with that kind of profile were sent to El Salvador. How was Venezuelan individual was part of that batch?
That individual was wanted. That individual was wanted for criminal charges, including murder, out of Illinois, and will be removed up there to face justice. While it is important to deport criminals from the United States, those that commit heinous and violent crimes in the United States need to face justice here before they are deported.
One more question for me. I can see the officer is working a lot, Monday to Sunday. Every day I receive a report from my followers on social media about that relative. During the night, I don't have nothing on the day. How many officers do you have involved with this, with all several agencies? How many officers are you working for people without papers, for example?
It varies. Operations vary day to day, but there are hundreds of agents in the state of Georgia, collectively between these agencies, that may be working at any given time.
Can you talk about Georgia in respect to the, I guess, fentanyl when it comes to states, and have you made I guess a lot of busts, or have you seen a reduction in
Thanks for the question. I can tell you that aside from the 1,500 arrests that Special Agent Charge Tran was talking about, DEA continues to be committed to supporting our law enforcement partners that you see before you here behind me with their immigration enforcement operations. In addition to that, DEA since January conducted throughout our regular investigations, we've also arrested 58 drug traffickers who happen to also be criminal illegals. We've seized over $500,000 in illicit proceeds. We've seized 9 guns, 26 pounds of fentanyl, and over 1,300 pounds of methamphetamine from these traffickers.
what did 26 pounds of fentanyl do?
26 pounds of fentanyl, you times that by 500,000, that'll give you a 6.5-ish million lives saved, right? So, and I know that, most recently, working with our state and local partners, our Sandy Springs Police Department, we've seized a record-breaking amount of fentanyl pills in the tune of 240,000 at one single seizure event. That is very significant. And that individual also had 5 kilograms of powder fentanyl as well.
26 pounds would probably kill everyone in Metro Atlanta.
Well, I know that just 26 pounds, absolutely. 6.5, approximately 6.5 million lives saved.
Can you speak if, I guess, if you were working with the DOE's team in such
Locally, we are not engaged with the DOJ team or Social Security Administration on any of the drug enforcement type activities. Yes, ma'am.
It's a question for our Hispanic audience who probably are confused. So under federal law, any unlawful individual is considered criminal in the United States territory?
So, criminal law 8 USC 1325 is entering without unlawfully entering the United States. So yes, it is a criminal offense. When we speak to criminal aliens, we're speaking to someone that's been either arrested or convicted of a crime in the United States.
Question. I know that later this month, a lot of the folks who, I think over 500,000 nationwide who had achieved or came here through a Biden program, federal program for immigrants from Venezuela, Cuba, even Nicaragua, they're set to lose their status, I think, over the coming months. What happens to them once that happens? Do they become deportable or anyone else? Or, yeah, I know that's a concern people have right now.
That specific issue is playing itself out in the courts right now, and there has been a temporary injunction on that. So we will see what the outcome of those court cases are before determining any final outcome for those individuals.
Do you have any numbers on maybe self-deportations in Georgia in the last recent, say, couple months? Do y'all keep tabs on that?
No.
Yeah.
Do you think that's happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
What evidence do you have that that's happening? Can you step up, please?
yeah, sure. Go ahead.
No. So we're encouraging self-deportation. If that's if you know that you're here illegally, we are encouraging self-deportation. But I know there's some avenues in place. There's a app now that I believe CBP has issued that you can document your arrival in your foreign country, so that we can then document it that you have self-deported. So we have been seeing encourage it.
What's that?
I'll have to get you the specific app. It's a Customs and Border Protection app.
Can you speak of the benefits of people self-deported? The advantages?
So if you self-deport, you can go back to your country on your own terms. We won't be coming out to your house and arresting you, arresting family members or people that you associate with, and so you'll be able to leave on your own terms.
And also, I guess, doesn't close the door that you can come back legally.
Yeah, you would have to then apply to come back legally, yes.
The immigrant can go to the ICE office and say, I'm here illegally, can you report me, something like that?
I mean, we have people that report to the ICE office every day, and we'll review the case, on a case-by-case basis.
Are you arresting folks for making the regular ICE checks and something like that?
Yeah, so whether you're encountered on the street by an enforcement team on the street, you report into the office. We're constantly reviewing every case that comes in to determine removability.
Do you think this kind of operation will continue during the whole entire year, or do you think it's a few months, maybe we have a reduction of that? The people is asking online about that.
Immigration enforcement is not going away. We are continuing to identify new efficiencies. We are continuing to work together. So immigration enforcement is going to continue to be a priority for the years to come. And we are going to continue to be at the forefront of that.
Can you talk about the factors that make someone kind of, that make you deem someone priority for removal or someone ICE officers? Are you looking at that for someone as priority for removal?
Nothing's changed in that area. So we look at have you been ordered removed by an immigration judge? Your criminal history, your time in the country, the documents you have, things like that. So it's a totality of the case.
Family considerations, someone who's
Sure. So there's always aggravating factors like criminal history. There's mitigating factors as well that we'll take into consideration, your parental status, your medical history, things like that. And so those are all factors that are kind of used determining whether we're going to take someone into custody or not.
How do you see the cooperation with the consulate, Latin American consulate, for example, to work with the people who don't have a passport or things like that, for example?
So we meet with the consulates on a regular basis. As far as, you know, that's the consulates, one of their missions is to help people get documents. But we're constantly meeting with the consulates. We work with them when we have people that are in custody. We work with them to get the travel documents for them to be able to go back to their country.
What about the complaints regarding health issues, things like that with the inmates?
As far as from the consulates,
Mm-hmm.
We take great pride in the people that are in our custody and taking care of them, whether it's medical issues, whether it's communication with their consulates, and we're constantly providing that open communication and, you know, reviewing their medical history. They get screening for dental, for medical, and so we're constantly addressing all of those things when people are in our custody.
Any incident recent in the Stewart Detention Center? Because I received a report from something don't happen 2 days ago. Stewart, some people don't want to go out to the cell to eat. That is true, or is it rumor?
I can't speak to anything specific without knowing the facts of the case.
You don't have no information regarding?
No, I don't.
What about other expansion of expedited removal authority? They're not on the ground for you guys? Yeah, I know that was kind of something about potentially the actual open out. Yeah.
So expedited removal is another tool that we have to use for removability, and it's just another tool that we use when we encounter someone that's here illegally.
It applies for them like more than significantly, I guess, or have you come into play quite a bit, or?
I would say not at this point. Yeah.
So just for clarification, the pictures that we're looking at, these 10 photos, past 2 weeks, is that Operation Safeguard, or are these since January?
Since January. Not all of these photos are specific to the past 2 weeks.
But the 5 arrests described here, those are actually constituted.
Yes.
And how is your partnership with the local authorities? We've seen in other states been issues, but how has it been in Georgia working with local law enforcement?
Each different agency, each sheriff's office, each police department has different operational rules and protocols that they need to. We as law enforcement in general, especially when enforcing criminal violations, have excellent working relationships with state and local officials, and throughout the state of Georgia, as required by House Bill 1105, all law enforcement agencies in Georgia honor ICE detainers and cooperate where legally required to on enforcement efforts.
Just a question, what happens if they have students who have undocumented parents who are in custody with, you know, the care facility, or thinking of them?
When the parents are arrested?
Yes.
Okay. So are documented or? Okay. There is the ability for a parent to take their child back with them, and we have avenues to allow for that. They can leave them in the care of a trusted family member, but we work with those individuals to ensure that the children are safe and they're in the proper care.
Two owners of well-made images, they are foreign nationals, they undocumented immigrants. They were arrested.
I'll have to get back with their specific status for that, but I do not believe that they were subject to immigration violations at the time.
Okay.
Sorry, you mentioned that all local law enforcement were at this point working with the federal government. My understanding was there were some that had signed memorandums of understanding.
Yeah, not all agencies have to sign a memorandum of understanding. That would be to be part of immigration enforcement operations or to be part of the 287G program. but it is an entirely different thing to follow the law and honor a detainer if one is lawfully presented. I thank everyone for coming, for providing insight and information to the general public about these important operations that our federal law enforcement colleagues are conducting throughout the state, and hope you have a great day. Thank you.